Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with atbbq.com, and this is Italian beef pizza. You know that thing we like to do where we take two great foods and try to make them one? That's exactly what we're doing today. This time, it's Chicago-style Italian beef sandwich, but instead of putting it on that French roll, we're gonna throw it on a pizza. Let's get into it. We're gonna get started by roasting off our veggies and our flavor base that we're going to cook the beef on top of. So a little bit of olive oil in a casserole dish. Then we're gonna throw in our mirepoix, 2 parts large diced onions, 1 part carrot, and 1 part celery. We'll throw in there 6 cloves of garlic, just crushed. They don't even have to be peeled because we're gonna strain all of this later. Then we've got a 1/4 cup of tomato paste, a few sprigs of some thyme and rosemary. And then we're gonna do about 2 tablespoons of Telecherry black peppercorns. Just whole. Now we're gonna make a little seasoning mixture using a 1/4 cup each of our Cattleman's Grill Italiano and the Yoder Smokers beef rub. Part of this is gonna go in with the veggies, the rest of it's gonna go on the beef itself. And I'm gonna eyeball about 3 tablespoons of this mixture to go over the veggies. So give this a really good mixture. A little mixing here. Try and get the tomato paste coated onto those veggies. And then we're gonna roast this off in the wood-fired oven in that same grill that we're gonna be braising and roasting our meat. But today we're gonna be cooking on the Yoder Smokers 1500 Outlander. It's a great big grill that's got a lot of room that we can utilize in some really fun ways. So we've got the Yoder wood-fired oven installed on the left side. We've got the door all the way open so the flame can come over the top and start to brown these vegetables from the top and from the bottom because of that nice hot pizza stone. For the beef, we've got a 5-pound roast of eye of round from Creekstone Farms. This is pretty well trimmed up. If you see any silver skin you want to take off though, you should do that so you're not chewing on it. I don't mind some of the fat, even knowing that there's gonna be some silver skin underneath it, because we're gonna slice it super thin so you'll hardly notice that silver skin in the end. So we're gonna hit this with some of the W sauce or Worcestershire. Not super thick, but enough to know it's there. And then we're gonna hit it with that same seasoning mixture that we put on the veggies, the 50/50 Italiano and Yoder beef rub. For a 5-pound roast, this mixture of a 1/2 cup of seasoning that we started with should be plenty. So already looks wet on the surface, the seasoning's well attached. This is ready when the veggies come out of the oven. So 20 minutes in, look at all this great browning that we've got going on. Those veggies are starting to soften up and they smell incredible. And we've got a nice fond formed on the bottom, which creates a lot of flavor. Now we're gonna deglaze that with about a cup of red wine. Scrape up the bottom, get all that goodness off so it floats around in the braise. All right, now that wine's almost gone already, which is great. It's reduced, it's done its job. Let's get the beef in here. So we're gonna transfer this to this side shelf here, or side grate, I should say. We're gonna close up the airflow on the oven. So now that heat's distributed just a little bit more evenly. It's gonna kind of pass underneath the oven and come up underneath our pan where we're gonna be roasting this beautiful eye of round. And we need to add some liquid to kind of help it braise down and create that jus that you gotta have with your Italian beef. So we've started with the veggies. Instead of just using water, we're kind of fortifying this with a pre-made beef stock. And I'm gonna fill it until it gets to the top. So it's gonna be about 1 quart. But let this go for about 45 minutes. We're gonna flip this over and check the liquid level. So a little bit more gentle roast off to the side rather than the intense heat of the oven. So let's mix up a batch of pizza dough. We're gonna start with 110-degree water. We're gonna scale out 325 grams. And then we're gonna add to that 5 grams of active yeast. Give this a little stir and then give it about 5 minutes for that warm water to wake up the yeast. Now we're gonna pour that water with the bloomed yeast into the bowl of the KitchenAid. We're gonna add 500 grams of double lot flour and 10 grams of kosher salt. Throw a hook attachment on. I'm gonna throw this on second speed, give it about a minute for it to form the dough ball, and we'll give it another 7 minutes of kneading. So gonna oil up a container for our dough to proof in. 8 minutes is up on the dough. So we're gonna transfer that over. Throw a lid on it and wait for it to double in size. 45 minutes into the cook here, you can see that liquid's reducing down, those vegetables are getting soft, and we're getting a little bit of color on the roast. Now the roast itself is sitting at around 80, 82 degrees right now. So now we can get a little bit of color on this top side and be cooking evenly from both directions. But throw this back in because we are aiming for an internal temperature of about 125 degrees when we pull this off. Now while we're in here, I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more beef stock. We'll fill this back up. Let's close it up and let it finish out. It's been about an hour and a half total cook time now. And this has come up to 125 in the dead center of this thing. You can see we got some great color on the opposite side. So we are ready to pull this out of here. We're gonna cool off this roast. So the roast is coming out of all that juice now. It's gonna go to the fridge to chill down so we can slice it super thin. And then in here we've got all of that great jus. It's been formed with all these veggies and that beef stock. We're gonna strain this off so we can dip our slices of pizza right into that goodness. And just use a spatula to work all those juices through there. So our pizza dough has doubled in size now. We're ready to roll this out and divide it into 2 different dough balls. So this is typically about 840 to 850 grams for the total amount. So we'll just split that into 420 gram dough balls. Just kind of working that back into itself and then tighten it up. A little pinch. And then we're just gonna sit that on an oiled sheet pan to relax the next 30 minutes or so. I'm gonna cover this and throw it into the fridge. Once your beef has cooled down and it's ready to be sliced, the best way to get it sliced super thin like this is on a deli slicer. If you don't have access to one, you're just gonna wanna get a really nice sharp slicer and go as thin as possible. Now obviously we're not gonna need all of this roast just for our pizza today, but that's the great thing about doing one of these roasts is now you've got roast beef for cold cut sandwiches. You can make your Italian beef sandwich out of this. Cryovac some of these and throw them in the freezer and you're set for a while. One more thing before we start assembling pizzas, we're gonna put together our sauce. So I'm just taking a pre-made pizza sauce. This one by Urban Slicer is really delicious and has no added sugar, so it never gets too sweet. So we're gonna do 2 parts of that pre-made pizza sauce and 1 part of the jus we made in the roasting pan. So now you've got this super savory pizza sauce that's a great base for our Italian beef pizza. So let's get this dough down and stretched out. I'm gonna press out some of those bubbles. Make a nice little crust around the edge here. Let the gravity do the work on the stretching. And I want this stretched out nice and thin. Bring in our pizza peel. We're just gonna build this pizza right here on the peel. Sorry, I gotta go nuts with the flour right now because we got the air moving all around us, blowing it off. Get a couple spoonfuls of our pizza sauce with pizza sauce au jus. You see that dark savory color that jus adds to the pizza sauce. From there, we're gonna go a little low moisture mozzarella. And next we've got our Italian beef that's going straight into that jus before it hits the pizza. We'll kind of stretch these out and overlap them a little bit. And of course we gotta have some Giardiniera, some hot peppers on here. This one we made from scratch. You wanna see how to do it, go check out the video from last week. We got a full video walking you through the whole process. And we're gonna finish this off with some sliced provolone on top. Get about 3 thin slices. I love this thin slice provolone. It just melts right into the top of everything. That's it. All right, so back to the wood-fired oven now. It's turned up to 500 degrees, so it's nice and hot in there. At least for the first couple minutes, I'm gonna close the door. Maybe a minute and a half, we'll check on it. Minute and a half check, everything's looking really nice. We're just gonna do some spins here to make sure it all browns evenly. All right, let's slice into it. Let's get a bite. Holding up pretty nicely considering all of that giardiniera in there, all of that sauce, a little jus. Woo! That's everything you love about an Italian beef sandwich and a pizza married together at the same time. I'm getting that oil from the giardiniera, the spice from it, of course the beef, but the jus, man, soaking all of that together with the stringy mozzarella and that kind of tangy provolone. Fantastic, couldn't be happier. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out atbbq.com for all the products featured in today's video. If you enjoy the recipe, hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, or there's anything you want to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to atbbq.com/thesauce. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.